I walk the streets with my swagger on, supernatural, facing a million opponents, and my role is to act alone. Lights, camera when the action's on. Where I roam is a battle zone, a vigilante in the catacombs. But I rock with a hot shot like a clock when it's cocked and popped and the lead is gone. People say that my hand is gone, but it's them same people in need of my help when I'm heading home in life. They say that everybody got a purpose, so I roam the city streets like faulty cellular service. The hot shot, sharpshooter, superhero, destined to shine like light through the dark and evil. I fight for what's right in the hearts of people and try to open your eyes, cause it's hard to see truth. You ever feel like everybody's the same, but you different? That's when you know you're here to make a difference. Hot shot, you got a choice to make, stand up or stand down. Fight or flight, get up, bang out, the world's waiting, can't wait to see what you about. It's showtime, act now. Hot shot, you got a choice to make, stand up or stand down. Fight or flight, get up and bang out, the world's waiting, can't wait to see what you about. It's showtime, act now. Hot shot.
Here comes a new challenger!
Hello, my name is Cauley. I'm an intern here at FSK this spring. I am a student at CCAD, which is Columbus College of Art and Design. I am studying illustration, and I'm very excited to be a part of this tonight, this fun episode of Chat and Draw. Really excited to announce Epic 21's Kickstarter. The follow page is now live. So please head on over to fskgo.com to follow it when it launches. It's such a fun game. I got to play it with some of the other interns a couple weeks ago. And I look forward to playing it even more. It's one of those games that really draws you in, and the more you play, the more exciting it gets. So thanks for everyone coming in tonight. Not sure where Mike is at the moment, but I'm here to be drawing tonight with special guests.
Wait a second. A new opponent has interrupted the tournament.
All right, hello. You're here with
Oh,
Annie J. Crick. How are you
I love it.
doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Cauley. Thanks for having us on. It's supposed to be Morgan Iverson here, but
Mhm.
Morgan is on his way. So in the meantime, I'm just here to fill in. I'm just here to fill in and tell y'all
Yeah.
about the great things that we're doing, and I'm always trying to support the FSK interns and the Freestyle Comics family. And we got a Kickstarter coming out too. I saw the Epic 21. I already signed up at fskgo.com. But we're working on having a Kickstarter coming out pretty soon too. So I think that's what we're here to draw tonight, right? We're here to draw Harlem. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Very excited.
Did Morgan already send you over the characters and everything like that, or
Yeah, I have a couple images
okay,
of Harlem.
okay,
Should
that's
be
awesome.
fun to draw.
Yeah.
Uh,
Harlem is so the Kickstarter that we're doing is actually a double Kickstarter. It's for Harlem and the Ballad of the Black Rose. It's two comic books, one written by Morgan Iverson, the other one written by me. Harlem is kind of a supernatural superhero thriller story, um, where this young girl wakes up to find, her family was being attacked. They had a home invasion, and she wakes up to find that everything in her house has been destroyed, and that everybody has been burnt to a crisp. And the police are outside, thinking that it was her that caused this all this ruckus. So she has to escape the police and then kind of find out what happened to her family. And then Ballad of the Black Rose is a family western that's more of a family trying to protect their young daughter from their harsh past. So we kind of have two kind of stories that we're telling and that we're launching for Kickstarter. So I'm excited about both of them, and you know I'm excited. I'm excited to be telling new kinds of stories. We really do a lot of superhero stories, but it's good to have some different kind of stuff on the roster too.
yeah, of course, of course. What's your creative process when you're making these characters and telling these new stories? Like, is this like something you've been working on for a long time? Like, it's always been in your mind, or is it like you're finding new things and you're writing them down? Like,
Yeah, I think I'm really impulsive when it comes to creating. I don't know if you've seen that Hamilton play, but
mhm.
when they say you write like you're running out of time, I like to just put stuff out there and see if it works. I like to just create, just get ideas, and then try my best to make them and put them out in the world. And then
Oh yeah.
if they connect with people, then we continue to make them and continue to develop them. And if we can find a way to get them to the audience that would love them, that's even better. But step one is always making the thing, whatever the thing is. So um,
Mhm.
finding good people who can we can work with as illustrators and artists and writers and all kinds of things, and finding out what's the best way to put it out. But you know, um, my creative process is just about doing it. Just about, hey, I got plenty
Yeah.
of ideas. It's just which one do I want to dedicate 6 months to actually make. So
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I feel like I'm at my time in art school now where I'm like feeling confident about those creative ideas, and now I'm really just wanting to like put the pen to the paper, and I wish I had the time to, write as much like
mhm.
um but yeah, I think my time what I struggle with now is like time management and like organization. So like when you're when you're developing these characters, when you're writing down the story, like how do you kind of budget your time and like stay organized with all that?
I've recently I have to so me and my wife have been married for 17 years now, and we have 4 children. all who are doing different things in life. I work a full-time job. She runs a business, and we don't have a lot of free time as it is. So really
Mhm.
it comes down to making sure that we you know section off time for these things that we're passionate about. So for me, it's Wednesday through Saturday, from whatever time I get off of work, and can get to the studio until 9:30. That's the time that I have to work on these things. So, um, I have to make sure that I use that time effectively. Whatever it is that I'm working on, whatever project that is supposed to be coming out, I'm using that time to work on it. Whether it's, being on Chat and Draw to talk about projects, or if it's while I'm on Chat and Draw, like I got my other screen up and I'm working on some bundles for some graphics for the Kickstarter. So,
Mhm.
just making sure that no matter no matter how small the step is, no matter how small the thing is that I'm doing, I'm always stepping towards the goal, which is to, create comics. So in the time that I do have, I got to use that time effectively so that we can get there. Because if not, then it won't get done. We can't count on anybody else to do this stuff for us. We got to
Mhm.
do it ourselves. So what about you?
Yeah.
How have you learned to kind of manage your time, like in school? I know uh when I was a
Mhm.
student, I was studying music education, but um I had a job, and we had young kids, and I was in the military. So making time for classes, and then like you have an internship. So how do you use technology to help manage your time, or you're more of a journaler, or what?
Oh, geez. I wish I could say I was, like, really organized and on top of everything, but, I feel like that's something I'm still kind of learning how to do, how to, like, figure it out best for myself. I have
Hmm.
kind of found, like, I always need to have some kind of time to myself, so I need to budget, like, some time where I can sit around and do nothing, so I'm more productive in the times that I do find or that I do work on personal projects or schoolwork, and recently it's been only school projects and then, of course, stuff for this internship, which is all stuff I'm really enjoying. It's just kind of it's back to back working on it, and I mean, I'm learning a lot, and I'm trying to take it all in, but yeah,
Yeah.
as for, like, staying organized, I try to use planners. If I don't have the planner, I make notes on my phone, like, "Hey, like, this is when this is due, this is when I need to have this done by," and stuff like that. I'm trying to get better at making notes
Yeah.
of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that part that you said about making time for yourself is definitely
Mhm.
important. Like I'm 37, and have gotten to the point where I know that between whether it's you know just an hour where I can sit down and watch TV, or just literally sit down and lay up against, just put my head on my wife's shoulder while she watches TV,
Mhm.
or whatever it is. I have to make that time, and my brain is always working. My brain is
Yeah.
always working, so I have to physically force myself to sit down and not be working on something. So
Yep.
in whatever that time, if it's 30 minutes or if it's an hour, I just need to sit down and rest for that time. And it to me it helps. It lets you kind of rest and reset your brain, and be ready to work when you're supposed to work. Because if you don't, then when you're supposed to be working, your body will say, "Hey, I need to rest right now. I don't really want to I don't really want to be doing this work because I should be resting." So that's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely understand that. It's like if I don't, um, give myself time to kind of decompress, I find that I'm always thinking about the next thing I have to do, and so I'm never really, like,
Hmm.
taking that time to rest for myself, or like I'll be laying in bed trying to fall asleep and I'm thinking of every detail of an assignment I need to turn in,
Right,
or like every little thing that I could be adding to a project.
right.
So it's nice having time to, you know,
Yeah,
relax,
it
take a
really is.
break.
Your body and your mind needs it. So definitely,
Definitely.
definitely do that. don't let Mike work y'all too hard. I know he's got plenty of projects for y'all, but Mike is a good
Mhm.
guy. He wants what's best for y'all, and but don't let him work you too hard. Tell him to give you some breaks.
Oh, it's been fine so far, but
Yeah.
I'll let him know. Yeah, I know I've been enjoying the stuff that he's been having me do. It's all pretty new to me, but it's something that I really value as someone who's, I mean, as I said, I'm studying illustration, but kind of interested in the comics route, the graphic novel, like storytelling is something I've always incorporated into my work. And
Hmm.
right now, I really enjoy seeing how I can express that through comics and comic styles.
Yeah.
So I'm having a lot of fun seeing how, Mike and everyone does his comics and their comics,
Hmm.
but also being a part of the team that is making the comics as well. I think it's
Yeah.
really interesting and new for me.
Yeah. So I got two questions for you then. What
Mhm.
when you say you're studying illustration, what type of illustration work are you trying to get into? And um when it comes to your style of art, where do you think your style would best fit if not comic books?
Mhm. I'm definitely interested in like children's and young adult market area.
Hmm.
So it's like right now I'm taking a class that's focusing on children's illustration, and I really enjoy doing that. Kind of thinking towards children's books. I have a teacher here who's really um, that's what she focuses on outside of school, and so I've talked with her a lot about that, and I do think that's something I would like to pursue in the future, like some kind of bookmaking. I think is really interesting. um, I also find that with my style, I enjoy doing like kind of like fan art type stuff and um, trying to think the right words. I really am inspired by concept art for movies and books, and I feel like that's somewhere I would like to experiment with someday as well. So I feel like I have a very broad horizon when it comes to where my art can take me. Right now, really interested in again those like children's markets and ways of
Yeah.
storytelling. I find just really fascinating.
Oh yeah,
So,
that's
yeah.
good. That's
Mhm.
good. Harlem is not a children's story. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
This Harlem story is a little more. So Morgan likes to write for um older teenage stories, like
Mhm.
coming of age stories where it's people have gone through harsh situations in life and have to fight to get through the other side of it. And Morgan has a really good knack for conflicted heroes and villains and people who may not seem like the best people at first, but they have a good heart and they want to do good things. But their circumstances kind of force them to do things that you wouldn't necessarily say are good. Um,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what this story is with Harlem is a young girl who's had a rough upbringing. Well, she didn't necessarily have a rough upbringing, but the environment around her was rough, so it kind of
Mhm.
hardened her in places. But she's a fierce young woman who is very passionate about the people that she loves and will protect them at any cost. And now that she
Mhm.
has discovered that she has these powers, she has to decide what to do with them. So but it's one of those stories that is kind of connected to our universe. I know the freestyle universe has a lot of different kind of superheroes, and we were actually considering joining the freestyle universe for a while. Still kind of are, to be honest with you,
Mhm.
but we got some growing to do. We want to establish these characters a little more before we before we join up with anybody. And Harlem
Yeah.
is a big part of that. So Harlem and we got Ace Blade and King Supreme Lumberjacks, Harlem, Queen Zaja, and we got some characters that we really want to flesh out before we kind of um, put them in anybody else's universe, or you know have other people influence our characters in their universe, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course. I'm a big fan of character development and like that storyline. I mean, I know I say I'm like interested in children's, but I will say it's those like really emotional and hard storylines that make me so interested in storytelling. I love the emotional value that comes behind storytelling, and
Yeah,
when characters really have this chance to develop, I think it is just fascinating to see where like the writers and the artists and everyone can take it. But also it's just, I don't know, that's what I like to consume as a reader and a watcher.
yeah. I think so. I used to. It's weird because I used to watch a lot of anime, but anime was different, in the early 2000s, and it was more about power levels and scaling and conflict and stakes. So like the planet is gonna
Mhm.
blow up if Goku doesn't beat this guy. Whereas
Yeah.
now, I see a lot with anime. It's more about characters and themes, and the stakes are more personal to the characters, which gives you a more emotional payoff, right? So the character development and the stories um, kind of focus on who the character is, not necessarily how. Of course, it's still you're still going to see how strong they are, but it's more about why they're strong and they are why they're fighting, and the reasons that this character is the way that they are, and why this person needs to overcome this. So it's just great storytelling, and character development, like you said, and that's what we want to do.
Mhm.
That's what we want to do as storytellers, is make impactful characters, um
Mhm.
make characters that really resonate with people who are reading them, and
Mhm.
also make them enjoyable. We want to entertain people, but we want to give you some value beyond that also.
Yeah, definitely. So what are some characters from different series that really like inspire you or just are your favorites? Like,
Oh man, so all these, how old are you, Miss Cauley?
I'm 21.
All right, so all of these characters are a little older than you. You might not have ever heard of them, but uh, there's a character named Bruce Leroy, from a
uh,
movie called the last Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. It's my favorite movie, and it's all about reaching the glow, right? But he has to, in order to reach the goal, he has to find the master. But what he doesn't know is the master is inside of him, right? He is the master. So it's a journey um to um to find this next level, but he always had the level without. And I love stories like that where
mhm.
the protagonist has to find something, but they have it all along. So it's kind of like your Scarecrow and your Tin Man, and your Wizard of Oz story. Okay, I'm going to see the wizard to get this answer, but I already had the answer, and I just need to realize it myself. And then there's characters like Blade, like Wesley Snipes' Blade, who is a dark, excuse me, a dark, violent character, but he fights for good. He fights to save a civilization that kind of outcasted him. He's kind of that rose that grew in darkness, that has some thorns, but also is powerful enough to do the things that normal people can't do. And then of course you got your Gokus, your Spider-Man.
Mhm.
With great power comes great responsibility. All of those
Of
um,
course.
characters um, who sacrifice for the greater good, um, who it's more about the willpower that they have, and their drive to protect people and to help people, and the characters who have that true, that true moral compass that's unshakable, that you can always depend on to do the right thing in the right time. Those are my some of my favorite characters. But you know, I like the conflicted villains too. Like
Yeah.
the Harley Quinns and the Punisher. Well, Punisher's not a villain, but to me, he's more of a anti-hero. So yeah, all sorts of things, but just depending on what it is. Right now is Deku though, like My Hero Academia, all those characters from My Hero Academia really have an impact on me. Yaoyorozu, um, you know, all of
Nice.
those guys.
Yeah. I love seeing how different characters um, can really inspire different people in many different ways. It's really interesting to see how other people can resonate.
Yeah,
Um,
it's weird because like I didn't grow up reading comic books, but I watched all the cartoons, like every every Saturday morning cartoon that came on, Batman, Superman, the Ninja Turtles. So I knew those characters, but at the same time, there were stuff like the Star Trek shows that were coming on that I would stay up late to watch, and I'd be like, "Yo, these stories are really, really impactful to me as a teenager or as um, just getting out of high school." And
mhm.
stories and storytelling has been around since the beginning of time, and it's something that will probably never die, even though we're still telling the same types of stories that people were telling in caves and things like that. But we just have a different medium to tell them. Now we got comic books and movies, and at one point it was all outside theater, and at one point it was all written books and stories. So the mediums will change and grow. Next, we'll have the metaverse. Next, we'll be able to actually act out the act out the stories with people in the metaverse. So um, I think it as long as you can tell a good story, you can have a job forever.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. Yeah, it's just so important to who we are as people.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, I know growing up, my like go-to thing was Harry Potter, like those books, just like I don't know. I grew up reading them like cover to
Hmm.
cover and all of that. Nowadays I've moved on a little bit more and
Hmm.
um but I know it's because of the storytelling language in those that like really kind of influenced me to try and tell my own stories. And it just kind of like sparked that interest in me, and then like ended up finding so much more through it. Like
Yeah,
it's how I got into Marvel, and then I got into that through watching the movies, and then I kind of realized like, oh
hmm,
my gosh, there's so much more to these characters. I need to know even more. So then I would
yeah,
go to the comics, and I love how different storytellers and different artists can do so much with these characters that have kind of like their own like guidelines, but then they can be taken and interpreted so many different ways. And I just I love that part of the comic world. Just
yeah.
seeing how many
No,
people can
yeah,
do
it's
this. Yeah.
great. It's like comic books are a fascinating medium because there's no limitations. Just like
Mhm.
in prose and like in what you were talking about earlier with Harry Potter. Like you can literally make anything happen if you set the rules and you create the characters with the proper motivations. You can do anything. You can have dragons. You can have mutants with
Yes.
X-ray powers, and you can literally have anything you want. And people will find a way to relate to them. Like even stories is weird as like Rick and Morty is huge right now, and
Yeah.
it's such a weird like set of circumstances. You got this weird uncle and this kid who just go on these crazy adventures, and people love it. People absolutely love it. um and Harry Potter still, like you said, like Harry Potter is,
Mhm.
people were reading those books and now they're playing the video games, and
Mhm.
some people aren't playing the video games, but that's up to them. That's up to them. Um, so it's just wonderful to be able to tell stories and to kind of be a part of the creative process.
Yeah, I know that's one thing that keeps me going, when school is, like, really pounding down on me. It's like, "Okay, what is this for? What am I doing this for?" Like,
Mhm.
where will this take me? And it's like, um, it's all really exciting for me.
Yeah. Um, I just hope that I have this fear that, well, it's not a fear. I have this anxiety about the evolving of technology, and the people who are responsible for it, and if we're responsible enough to use it the right way. Because I know, you've probably seen the whole AI art debate, going on, and things like that.
Yep.
And now they got the AR animations that are coming out, and I'm like, I've seen the complaints from, animators and illustrators in the industry about how overworked they are, because every industry needs artists. No
Mhm.
matter where you are, no matter what you're trying to sell, you are going to need an artist eventually. And
Yeah.
there's not enough artists to go around. So people are overworked and underpaid, and if they can learn how to use these AI tools, it might help them. But at the same time, there are people who will, use them to totally, abandon traditional artists, and that's not good. So just the responsibility of these creators and these business sectors that um kind of gives me the anxiety about humans.
Definitely.
But that's just humanity in general. If you never know if people are going to be good or evil, and that's why we tell these stories, because it's a
Yeah.
reflection of real life.
Yeah, definitely. I know AI art is, like, a huge debate right now in art school. It's whether or not the teachers agree with it or not, and then if the students, and it's you can kind of see how they're trying to figure out how where to take art school curriculum, because there's this AI force coming, and
Hmm.
it's really interesting time to be in school is when everyone's
Yeah,
trying to figure out a whole new thing.
it's like we just got through the whole COVID thing, the pandemic thing, and
Yep.
learning how to go to school online and through computers and all of that. And now we gotta, deal with computers taking our jobs. So, um,
Yep, I definitely understand that. It's a new plague,
yeah.
right? Looks like we have a little ad break coming up, so we're gonna find out more about Epic 21 here.
Mhm.
Really excited.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
Hello.
Hello.
Morgan
How are
Iverson in the
you?
building.
I'm good. Sorry about my tardiness. I was trying to finish getting my son situated here at the house. But Danny J. Quick has stepped in. I'm sure he lied on me about something or another.
I would never do a thing like that. I would never.
Well,
All good
then I'm
things,
sure
all
you
good
spoiled something.
things.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll hear about it later, I'm sure.
Yeah.
No.
We were talking about your double Kickstarter that's coming up and your books.
Okay.
How are you feeling about that so far?
Well, I mean, we got enough done on the Kickstarter to submit it. That's so now it's just a matter of like if Kickstarter is actually gonna approve it in the time that they say. Sometimes Kickstarter say we'll have it back to you in 3 days, and it's like 2 weeks later. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So,
geez.
um, and we just decided to do it as a double. Our first, it's our first double Kickstarter, so we just decided to do it that way because originally we were supposed to do. I think we were supposed to do Harlem in
February.
February. Yeah, we were supposed to do Harlem in February, then Black Rose in April. Uh, we were done with Harlem, but I was still trying to finish fulfillment or at least get the ball rolling on fulfillment for Lumberjacks #3 since we finally got everything in for that. And now that I at least got the digitals out for Lumberjacks #3 now. I plan to start shipping the physicals this week, so
Nice.
I feel better about things to be able to like try to go forward on trying to get Harlem out here because it's been done for a while. Wally finished the pencils and inks a while back. Veronica finished the colors. So we had Harlem done before we had Lumberjacks done.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be able to do it. And would it be an international? Would it be in Women's Month? We really wanted to push to get it done in March.
Women's History Month. Yeah.
Yeah, for Women's History Month.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't say is that this is the first time we've got um we've got two women characters leading our stories. We got Ace Blade, King Supreme, Lumberjacks, and now we got Harlem and Black Rose. So that's good. I don't know who's this user, but they said Danny J Quick Morgan, who is the better spades player, Ace Blade or Lumberjacks?
Come on, y'all. Come on now. Come on now. Now you guys know that. Hold on, let me. Come on, man. I hold it up. Come on now. Come on
I
now.
don't know. We might have to.
Who looks like they know how to play spades? Come
You
on
know
now.
what? I think Ace
What's good,
Blade and
Jay?
Lumberjacks. I think Ace Blade and Lumberjacks would be good spades partners, though. I think they would be good spades partners. I
They
think they
might
would
be,
be
but
undefeatable as
they
spades
might
partners.
be. They should be pretty good, but Jax and Stacy would run anybody. I don't care who they're up against. So.
Because they're cheating. They
They're not
cheating.
cheating. They're married, bro.
They're married. Automatically got secret codes that they're talking across the board,
See, so
and
I'm
that's
glad that you're admitting to this live for everybody to watch. I hope Sis is around so y'all can both admit that y'all be reneging. I told you that.
no.
I
We
knew
never we
any
never
game,
renege ever.
any game that you ever beat me in
Never,
there, y'all were reneging for
never.
sure.
We
Whatever.
never needed to renege.
You
We
just
got.
cop to it,
I said that they have secret codes and they just have intuition. That's
but
borderline.
y'all know
That's borderline cheating. But it's not against the rules to know what your partner's thinking.
it's
Just saying.
against the rule of renege, though.
I see a
That's
whole
against
new
the rule.
storyline coming now. Like
Yeah. Oh,
these
I
characters
would
are working
actually love to
together.
write
It'll
that.
be a whole new plot line.
I would love to write that. Actually, I would
See
love
how
to write
that
that.
goes.
I'm about to
A
put that
whole
in my
new
Anyway,
notes.
war starting.
anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Y'all have a good night. Morgan got y'all the rest of the way. Nice to meet you, Miss Cauley. Y'all be
Nice
safe
to
out
meet you
there.
too.
Sure.
Thanks for coming in.
All right.
Yeah.
That was not the question, Danny. They're not. Yeah, Danny. We know the answer to that question. Whoever Jay, is that you asking the question? Because I mean, if it is, you know the answer, man. Come on now. I'm not saying Ace Blake's stick in the mud, but that's Come on.
And so one thing I was talking with Danny about earlier was like creative process and how I don't know how we stay motivated to get our artwork out there because I am an art student right now as an
Okay.
intern here at FSK and I'm studying illustration.
Okay.
But one thing we were talking about was like kind of how we set up that process and stay organized and motivated. So I guess I'll ask you the same thing. Like, how do you stay organized when you have, a double Kickstarter coming out and you have all these stories ready?
Carefully. I think um, one of the things about being an artist, and I watch a lot of artists in any medium, whether you're drawing, whether you're illustrator, whether you are animator, whether you're director, actor, anything that's in the arts, writing. Um, I think you kind of, because you're doing it from a place of love first, you know what I mean, like the love of the art that you're in, and that kind of bursts things, and then over time, as you continue to create things, you kind of figure out what works best for you, like, you know what I mean, or like working with other people, you can kind of glean from them, those that are around you that have been there before, that you worked with before. Um, that you, God knows, YouTube University is amazing. So,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Going on there and being able to learn from, them, and master classes that people are putting out now. Like, I love to hear other people's process. And I mean, for me personally, I know I found that, when me and Danny were working on this season of the Super Shorts podcast, because we first scripted the last two seasons. We've done like a fully connected story, but when we first started doing the seasons, they were just like one shot stories that would give you more insights into our villains, and our superheroes. um, when we started to integrate those stories and have it as one connected story for the whole season, um, it changed my process and how I write. Like, I used to write, and I can, once you're motivated, you could just write and go off the cuff and just go and go. Some people can do that. Um, I've been like that since I was little. I've never liked writing, leaving it, and then coming back to it, because I feel like I can immediately tell the difference when I come back to it. And if you're in a flow, if I'm in a flow, I don't want to stop it. So as long as stuff is coming to me, I want to go ahead and get it on paper. I'll rearrange things later, but I want to get everything down. Um, when
Yeah.
we went through this season of the podcast, we started out with the villain. We started out with the antagonist and like kind of who we wanted her to be, and worked out from there, and then just did a really good like outline of where we felt like we would go, and then we just hit things in between there, because I personally like to let stuff flow as much as possible. What I have really found is that having that outline in the beginning helps me, with the process now, especially when you're writing integrated stories, or you like to drop breadcrumbs. Me and Danny both like to drop breadcrumbs, for stuff in our universe. So when you're doing that, the more of it that you have outlined, the better. You can change your mind later, but at least you know where you started driving the car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so it, for me, that's been an important part of my process, and keeping notes. Like, oh man, there have been some really good story ideas that I had in my head that I was like busy and didn't write down. And then you go back, you're trying to remember, like, man, I remember, and like you're just right on the tip of your, not the tip of your tongue, but it's like kicking the top of your head, and you just can't, you just never get it back. At some point, maybe you will, but for me, those two things have been really big the last like year or so. It's like making a really good outline, and I'll deviate within that outline, but if I start from there, at least I know where I was driving. So when I deviate, a lot of times it's helping me make better stories, especially, and it makes it a lot easier for me to connect back to those stories. And the notes, I don't care if it's just a note like, being like, hey, it'd be really cool if uh, this Italian chick had an afro and like smack people in the street. I don't care how silly the idea is. I just need to get something down so that I can return back to that idea, and that can at least spark that thought again to go somewhere else with it. So for
Yeah,
me, those are
definitely.
two really important things.
Yeah, I mean, as important as like the final product, is.
Yeah,
It's important to see the growth along the way and
yeah,
see where you
yeah,
came from to where you ended. I mean,
yeah,
that's one thing they always have me reflecting in my classes. It's like you have to show your entire process, and while that can be kind of annoying sometimes, it is
yeah.
really, I don't know, interesting to see like what my first thoughts were on a project compared to how it actually came out, because sometimes it does a complete like 180, like
Hmm.
it's especially
I
with
agree.
storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah, me and Danny definitely like if I show people the script that if I show people where we start, it's not because the first script was trash. The first script was good and we were excited to write it. But the first script that we had for this season versus where we ended up going within that framework that we originally made is really exciting to look at. You know what I mean? So I'm sure that's why your teachers are telling you that, like, because the process is a lot of people say that just in life, period. You know, the goal. It's not the goal isn't just as important, but you definitely don't want to forget the journey. You know what I mean? Because the journey is
Yeah.
where you're really learning these things and tapping into things that will teach you life lessons beyond the goal. So
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, part of the process is like learning from mistakes and everything, and that teaches you, that helps you figure out everything, problem solve, all of
yeah,
that, and it's yeah.
it's just like math. Like nobody likes math, but well, some people
Yeah.
like math. Some people like math, and those people go to NASA. Everybody else pretty much hates math. But
Can't say I'm a fan.
um, me either. So I appreciate what it produces, though.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I appreciate what it produces. I just personally am not your person for that. Like, it's not because I'm an idiot. It's just I don't enjoy it. I just don't enjoy math.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I feel
Yeah.
like I'm getting spoiled. I just realized that was Harlem. I
Yeah. Yep, got a little sketch of her going right now. Um,
like this rendition.
thank you. I've really enjoyed getting to know her so far. I mean, um, how long have you been working on your characters and everything, like with Harlem? Is it something you've had like a little spark of inspiration for a while, or is it just like you've been piecing together? How do
Harlem,
you come up with those
Harlem,
characters?
Harlem originally, literally, the first spark I ever had for Harlem. So Lumberjacks was the first character I ever came up with in the universe after Danny bugged me to death to try to help him to come up with characters. Um, and Harlem came. I I think my first concept of Harlem came maybe two years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. It might have been before that because I know I had concept art, but the first thought for Harlem was literally from me. I was watching something, and it was a gangster or somebody that was supposed to be gangster, and they had like killed somebody. And I hate that whole like bravado crap. Like I'm a gangster, I just killed you, so I'm the big bad. Like I hate that attitude. Makes me upset. You know what I'm saying? So it was
Yeah.
something I was watching, and I was like, I said, man, I wish if somebody like in real life, if you did that to somebody, I wish they could come back to life and just snatch your soul out right there on the spot. You know what I'm saying? And everybody else is around that thinks you're Billy Bad, because you did that. They get to watch it too. So now they're on notice. Um, and that was literally the first thought that I had for Harlem. I was like, that would be cool if somebody could do that. And I said, it'd be cool if it was a dude, but it'd be even better if it was a chick. Oh man, that's a dope idea. And then I wrote the note down, and then everything else just kind of built out from there. But the first original thought for Harlem period was just from like my irritation of thuggery.
Yeah, that representation.
Yeah, that's literally where the first thought for that came from there, and then I just built everything else out from there. And I wasn't sure whether I was going to put her into the universe or not, and then I just saw a really clear line that I could go through to help with the storytelling for Lumberjacks, for kind of what Lumberjacks will stand for in our universe, and Harlem can really help shape that too. So then it became like a match made to heaven type thing.
Yeah, it just all worked out.
Yeah, it was perfect after that.
Yeah. So, what kind of things keep you inspired when working on these characters? Because you said it's been about 2.5 years. You were watching
Yeah,
something that inspired you. Like, what kind of things today are keeping you inspired and not like, I know I face art block all the time.
yeah, yeah. Most of the time, I mean, I get ideas for new characters or new storylines just by life. Period. Like,
Mhm.
just things that you go through, or it could be things I go through, things I hear on the news. Um, I, I feel like I'm starting to read comics more. I read more indies than I do the mainstream stuff, just because I support, you know, our community. Like we
Yeah.
all support each other. So, but I also, because I didn't grow up reading comic books, I feel like it's an advantage in some ways because I can't copy people. Like,
Yeah.
I mean? Like, I can't copy you. I can't copy a storyline because I have no idea. Um, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have no idea where I could copy it from based on storylines and stuff like that. So, I mean, the majority of the inspiration that I get for things usually comes from something that I've gone through in my life and me trying to um, give somebody either a different perspective. Most of the things that I write, my goal is to change someone's perspective, and not necessarily make you change your position, but help you see a different vantage point for something, or give life to something, or voice to something, or a plight of something that's taking place or does take place that you might not be aware of. Give you new light on something. Usually, it's something like that that's in my heart that spurs me to create a character or a storyline. Um,
Yeah.
so that it, in the long run, hopefully, if you get to like the character, you love the character, but you're also ingesting um, somebody else's experience, but also like it trying to humanize things, concepts, and other things for other people too. Um,
Yeah.
that's definitely a big motivation of mine. Like I love writers and artists that can take something simple or take something complex and make it far more simple and be able to tell storylines on two different on more than one plane.
Mhm.
And that's always the goal of mine, is trying to do that and bring life to something in that way. That keeps me constantly inspired. And God knows, like, I'm a huge movie and TV fan. So
Oh, me too.
yeah.
I
So
always got
my
something playing.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So my favorite writers, my favorite directors, they definitely keep me inspired because I legitimately, like I told the guys, at some point I'm gonna meet Beyonce and Jay-Z, and when I do, I'm just gonna shrug my shoulders at you guys, but it's coming someday.
It's coming. Yeah, yeah. So it looks like we're coming to an end on time here. But thanks for joining today. It was really nice to meet you, and
It's nice to meet you too.
yeah, and I've enjoyed hearing like your story, your process, because it's always fascinating to me meeting new people and seeing how art inspires them and how it's, I don't know, affects them.
Oh, me too.
So
I think of everybody's, gifts and talents as like a superpower. So I love
yeah,
hearing how it's like an origin story to me when somebody tells me what inspired them or how they got somewhere, what their process was. So we're
mhm,
definitely on the same page there.
yeah,
I
definitely.
love this though, by the way. I really like it.
Thank you, thank you. I really enjoyed drawing her, and glad you got to see it.
Yeah, I love it.
It's been a great chat and draw tonight. And thank you to everyone who has tuned in to watch. I've
Yeah.
No, I think that I should ask Mr. Watson. I think that I should ask Mr. Watson. I think that I should